Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session on today, August 27th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Let's give a shout out to everyone here in the chat. Good to see you, Lisa. Much love. Good to see you, Valerie. Great to see you, Graham. Much love. Good evening, Nikosmas. Good to see you, Gandhi. Good to see you, Mother Rhea. All the love in the world. Isaac, good to see you. Higgins Wallop, great to see you. Good evening. Timukio, good evening, Taz. Much love, be love. All right. It's great to see everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. I truly appreciate it. It means the world. And let's start by talking a bit about our astrology. So for today, we have still that sun in Virgo. Beautiful harvest energy. We're going to be in this for a while, and it's that loving maiden energy, right? That analytical, organizational, practical energy of the earth. Now is the time of the harvest, of preparation, of getting ready, of putting your life in order, of doing what is necessary to move forward in flow, right? Virgo is the one who prepares for the winter, who creates enough abundance to sustain herself and her community, right? Embody that profound energy. And we have right now, too, the moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini is beautiful energy. Gemini is that divine twin, right? Related to that Dioscuri. And in the moon, it's going to be this playful energy of this intellectual pursuit, of this emotional frivolity, right? We're going to be running wild. Embrace the fun. Embrace community. Don't get too heavy with things at this time. And instead, be in that pursuit of joy and understanding. And just hang out with people. Have a good time. Be in flow with your friends. It's a great time for it. So let's talk a little bit about today's title. So when I was looking at today's cards and I was meditating this morning, I had drawn the star card and I decided to do a little bit of reading, and I went to this website and there were a bunch of quotes from Crowley and other people. I'm not sure if this was Crowley or someone else, but I saw a quote similar to the one I posted, and it just really resonated with me, this idea: all-encompassing consciousness, show me how to realize my thoughts. To realize my thoughts, right? To make my imagination become reality, to call my dreams into form, to give substance to my ideals, right? Beautiful, beautiful, profound, idyllic kind of magic. And it just really struck me. And that's the energy of this star card in this moment, right, for us. And thinking on this still, I immediately thought of this beautiful poem by Percy Shelley. It's Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. It's one of his most famous poems. And it's sort of his response to the muse in what she represented to him. The awful shadow of some unseen power floats through unseen among us, visiting the various wilds with as inconsistent wing as summer winds that creep from flower to flower. Like moonbeams that behind some piney mountain shower, it visits with inconstant glance each human heart and countenance, like hues and harmonies of evening, like clouds and starlight widely spread, like memory of music fled, like aught that for its grace may be dear, and yet dearer for its mystery, spirit of beauty, that dost consecrate with thine own hues all thou dost shine upon. Of human thought or form, where art thou gone? Why dost thou pass away and leave our state, this dim vast veil of tears, vacant and desolate? Ask why the sunlit not forever weaves rainbows o'er yon mountain river. Why aught should fail and fade that once is shown? Why fear and dream and death and birth cast on the daylight of this earth such gloom? Why man has such a scope for love and hate, despondency and hope? No voice from some sublimer world hath ever to sage or poet these responses given. Therefore the names of demon ghost in heaven remain the records of their vain endeavor, frail spells whose uttered charm might not avail to sever from all we hear and all we see doubt, chance, and mutability. Thy light alone like mist o'er mountains driven, or music by the night wind sent through strings of some still instrument, or moonlight on a midnight stream, gives grace and truth to life's unquiet dream. Life, love, hope, and self-esteem, like clouds depart and come from some uncertain moments lent. Man were immortal and omnipotent. Didst thou, unknown and awful as thou art, keep with thy glorious train firm state within his heart? Thou messenger of sympathies that wax and wane in lovers' eyes, thou that to human thought art nourishment, like darkness to a dying flame, depart not as thy shadow came, depart not lest the grave should be like life and fear a dark reality. While yet a boy I sought for ghosts and spread through many a listening chamber, cave and ruin, and starlit wood with fearful steps pursuing hopes of high talk with the departed dead. I called on poisonous names with which our youth is fed. I was not heard, I saw them not, when musing deeply on the lot of life at that time when winds are wooing all vital things that wake to bring news of birds and blossoming. Sudden, thy shadow fell upon me. I shrieked and clasped my hands in ecstasy. I vowed that I would dedicate my powers to thee and thine. Have I not kept that vow? With beating heart and streaming eyes, even now, I call the phantoms of 1,000 hours. Each from his voiceless grave, they have envisioned bowers of studious zeal or love's delight, outwatched with me the envious night. Thy know that never joy illumined my brow, unlinked with hope that thou wouldst free this world from its dark slavery, that thou, O awful loveliness, wouldst give whate'er these words cannot express. The day becomes more solemn and serene when noon is past. There is a harmony in autumn and a luster in its sky, which through the summer is not heard or seen, as if it could not be, as if it had not been. Thus let thy power, which like truth of nature on my passive youth descended, to my onward life supply its calm, to one who worships thee, and every form containing thee, whom spirit fair thy spells did bind, to fear himself and love all mankind. Beautiful, beautiful poem. And just so profound, right? Recognize this cyclical nature of life and love and beauty, right? Even the muse herself comes in cycles, comes in waves. We all live and die, and it is the nature to exist in this world, is to be in that flow. And we have to learn to rise and to be able to dance and move with it, to experience the departure and the embrace with equal experience, right? And to pursue that spirit, that beauty, that love, right? To see it reflected in all of humankind. And it is that pursuit that overcomes fear, right? Beautiful. Okay, we are now going to go to the Ganapati Oracle. Lord Ganapati Ganesha, that divine child, Lord of the beginnings, Lord of the Ganas, inspire us this evening and help send our words to those who need to hear them. What is the message for the congregation? All right. Revelation. Revelation. Wow. That's beautiful. Beautiful. An unveiling, a revealing, an exposing to truth, right? Revelation. Seeing things for as they are, going to the depths of an image. perceiving it in its multiplicity through multiple perspectives, understanding it within context as it changes across time, right? Revealed knowledge through experience and through that muse connection. Beautiful. Listen to the self, listen to your heart, hear with ears to hear. Okay. We are now going to start with our sortes proper. For those of you who are unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is divination through literature. It comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition, and we invoke those goddesses of inspiration, the divine muses, and we ask them to guide our hand and to reveal a message to us through the text. All right, we're going to begin today with the Psychic Bible by Genesis Peorage and the Temple of Psychic Youth. Excuse me. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from the Temple of Psychic Youth? Inspire us this evening. As with all entities, the sigil has a mental and a physical aspect, but because of its unusual beginnings, the mental aspect is significantly heightened. As with all entities, first off, recognize that the sign, the image, that creation is an entity, right? Has a mental and a physical aspect. The sign, which is signifying that mental construct, which exists within the mind of the creator, right? Which is the magician. If you engage in that act of creation, the more thought, the more attention, the more you create of that image, whether mental or physical, will compound and will give more energy and life to that daimonic form, right? Beautiful. Interesting. Just going to read the next line because it's interesting. This is in sharp contrast to artifacts created in the framework of physical time and primarily as objects of physical appreciation. In such cases, the created work is bound by its own objective beginnings. It is the heightening of its mental aspect which enables the sigil to exert agency. So that's interesting. The more form you give something, the less agency something has, right? The less power it has to work in that mental framework. The more the focus becomes upon that physical act of creation. Where are you channeling that musical energy? You know, I think there is truth to this for sure. But it's also interesting because when you create that eidolon, right, those art pieces can become enthused by divinity even further than that original artistic creation, especially if they are worshipped in congregation, you know, or if they're worshipped through disciplined action and ritual. Interesting. Lots to think on there. Okay. Let us now go to Arcana Mundi by George Luck. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Arcana Mundi? Inspire us this evening. Why should one be surprised that the earth is suspended? The firmament itself is suspended too, and not supported by any base. This is clear from its very movement and from the act that it travels fast through space. The sun moves without support as it skillfully directs its chariot, now this way and now that, keeping within its turning points in the sky. The moon and the stars travel through cosmic space. Similarly, in accordance with celestial laws, the earth is suspended. Therefore, the earth has been allotted a hollow space in the center of the atmosphere, equidistant at every point from the nadir. It is not flattened out in a plane, but has the shape of a sphere, which rises and falls at the same time at every point. It is its natural shape. Thus the universe itself, because it turns round and round, gives a spherical shape to the stars. We see the sun and the moon are round, spherical. The moon is looking for light, its extended body. but its globe as a whole does not receive the sun's rays, which hit it at an oblique angle. This is the lasting, abiding form, very much like that of the gods. It has no beginning, no end in itself, but is like itself on its whole surface, identical with itself throughout. Similarly, the earth stays round, imitating the shape of the universe, being the lowest of all heavenly bodies. This remains very clear. I just thought that was really interesting. The idea that the universe is a sphere because the sphere is that perfected shape of motion, right? And it has the widest space allotted, right? And this is a natural reasoned approach. And even the gods, right, are spherical. Interesting. As above, so below. Okay. Let us go to my dear friend Graham's book, The Shape of My Will. Sorry, that light is not too friendly to Graham's glossy text. Here we go. The Shape of My Will. Okay. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Graham and The Shape of My Will? The nightmare is over. The nightmare is over. Oh, wow. The cycle has ended. Let the pain pass and embrace the coming of the sun, right? If the nightmare is over, that means the sun is rising and we are awaking to a new day. The sun is the most beautiful energy of the cards. Wow. That's magical if I ever thought about it. Okay, we're now going to go to Rabelais, Gargantua, and Pantagruel. Really amazing satirical text. One of the big influences for Aleister Crowley. All right, muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Rabelais? You say what? That I have no wise perturbed you in any of the books I've so far had printed. You will be even less perturbed if I quote a relevant adage from an ancient Pantagruelist. It is, he said, no vulgar praise to have pleased princes in our days. Interesting. You say what? That I have no wise perturbed you in any of these books I have so far had printed? You will be even less perturbed if I quote a relevant adage from an ancient Pantagruelist. It is, he said, no vulgar praise to have pleased princes in our days. It's interesting, right? Because to serve the king is not, and to please the prince is not necessarily seen as a bad thing in the past. And knowing Rabelais in his kind of thoughts on these things, he's being rather, it's interesting. There's power in that praise, and there's something about being able to accept it. But there's also negativity in that. There's this connection of service, right? Interesting. He's mad to even be talked about in books, apparently. Okay, let's continue. All right, we're now going to go to the poems of W.B. Yeats. Okay, muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Yeats? Inspire us. This they nailed upon a post on the night my leg was lost, said the old Herney that had but one leg. He that a Herney's egg dare steal shall be changed into a fool, said the old Herney that had but one leg. And to end his fool breath at a fool's hand meet his death, said the old Herney that had but one leg. Wow. the bird that went through the sacrifice to protect that egg. This they nailed upon a post on the night my leg was lost. He that a Herne's egg dare steal shall be changed into a fool. And to end his fool's breath at a fool's hand meet his death. Right? Because that Herne lost his leg, but what happened to the man who tried to steal his egg? Or her egg, I should probably say. It's a fool who tries to steal the eggs from the birds. For those with ears to hear again. Wow. To try and take an egg from a hern is to be changed into a fool. And to end his fool's breath at a fool's hand meet his death. Wow. Excuse me 1 second here. I just need to... bad allergies. Okay. Let us continue. We are now going to go to Hore by Gabriel Macari. Muses guide my hand. What is the message from Gabriel Macari? Inspire us this evening. This does not mean that perception is always the antithesis of truth. Quite the contrary. Perception is what allows us to convey ideas, and our ideas are most powerful. But let it be understood that perception is also an efficient tool if used properly. And like any tool, it has defects. If left in the wrong hands, this tool could be dangerous and have devastating consequences. The yin always has its yang. It is a double-edged sword, that. And if one is not careful enough, it may cause harm or even poke out an eye, thus permanently diminishing one's vision. That said, accepting perception as a flawed principle is as good a starting point as any other. It is simply a means to an end much needed on this existential plane, but not the end of our outer and inner sensorial world. Wow. Recognize the limits of your perception. Recognize the limits and how this thing can be fooled. You know, so many of us only want to trust what we can see, but I can fool what you see. You know, I can direct your mind, right? It is in community, and it is through expanding of our perception that we can truly see things in a wide way, you know. And perception is a valid tool. It can allow us to convey ideas, right? It can allow us to see and define and imagine the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But we must recognize its limitation and that it is flawed, right? Exactly. Any magician can control perception, for that is the role of the magician, right? The magician is the one who manipulates perception in order to gain his will, who tells a story, right? Who changes the game, right? The magician is always a trickster. Okay, let's continue. Chapman's Homer, I should say, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Muses guide my hand. What is the message from the divine Homer? Arrived now at our ship, we launched and set our mast up, put forth sail, and in did get our late got cattle. Up our sails we went, my wayward fellows, mourning now the event. Beginning our journey anew, right? We had the ending of one cycle, and now we're seeing the beginning of the next cycle. Now's the time to get into your boat, right? And to ride the waves of fortune as you will, to learn to harmonize and to be taken, right? Beautiful. Interesting. The Voodoo Quantum Leap by Dr. Reginald Crosley. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crosley? Inspire us. A song is more than just a melody. The words and sounds are psychic and axionic expressions that have the ability to create high energy states, high vibratory states that can increase the power of a soul or a loa. In our ordinary reality, music in itself has the ability of inducing different levels of mind alteration, from mild elation, bliss, or ecstasy to rapturous frenzy, agitation, madness, vigor, somnolence, sleep, and even heavy trance. All types of music, from the slow, monotonous rhythms in an adagio, andante, large scherzo, from the elegiac and romantic to the trepidation of allegro, allegretto, and its variant vivace, animato, agitato, martial, and pettimissimo, from the pianissimo to the fortissimo, from a simple instrument, flute, piano, violin, to a full-blown symphonic orchestra, from the gallop of rock and roll and the twist to the pompous, grave, martial, or glorious expression of the Baroque. All of these are capable of creating a whirlwind of energy, a maelstrom that places the individual on the threshold of singularities. Recognize the power of song and its ability to transcend, right? To connect you, to move you, to change your entire state of mind and perception. Wow. And it is not simply religious music. No. Any music can do this. All music is capable of this. You simply have to be able to connect and harmonize, to feel with it, you know? All right, let us continue. We're now going to go to the Divine Comedy, Dante. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Dante? Inspire us. Now, to fulfill well all your desires, I go back to explain a certain point so that you may see as I do. You say, I see the water, I see the fire, the air, and the earth, and all their mixtures become corrupt and last only a short time. And yet these things too were created, so that if what I said were true, they should be safe from corruption. Wow. You say, I see the water, I see the fire, the air, and the earth, and all their mixtures become corrupt and only last a short time. And yet these things too were created, so that if what I said were true, they should be safe from corruption. Should they be safe from corruption? I think this is the fault. Why are we calling it corruption? The principle to decay and to change, right? This is a natural element of the universe, right? It is a natural element of the universe that drives creation, that prevents stagnation, you know. It is difficult energy, of course, but it is energy that we must learn to wrestle with and contend with, right? That force of time that causes things to break and to degrade allows us to ever evolve and transform. Without that degradation, there could be no transformation. Death has its place, right? All things must be reaped in order for the generations to exist, for the game to go forward, for the cycle to persist. You know, this is that pain of the separation of duality. Wow. Interesting. Much to think of. All right, let's go to the Book of Thoth. Aleister Crowley. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crowley? Inspire us. The discs are arranged in the form of the hexagram, which is shown in skeleton. In the center blushes and glows the light rose matter of dawn, and without are three concentric circles, golden, yellow, salmon pink, and amber. These colors show Tippereth fully realized on earth. It reforms in form what was mathematically set forth in describing the ace. Wow. The discs are arranged in the form of the hexagram, which is shown in skeleton. In the center blushes and glows the light rose matter of dawn. And without are three concentric circles, golden, yellow, salmon pink, and amber. These colors show Tippereth fully realized on earth. It reaffirms in form what was mathematically set forth in describing the ace. It's beautiful. It's that continuing flourishing of the discs, the coming together of forms to create that trinity out of that hexagram. Wow. Beautiful. I also want to read this line. The sun is idolized as the rose and cross. The rose has 49 petals, the interplay of the seven with the seven. Wow. The sun is the middle path, the center, the rose and the cross, right? Where the star comes down to earth and is realized in our reality. Wow. Beautiful. Of cosmogonic eros. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Ludwig Klages? Inspire us. The body follows death, the all-powerful. The likeness of the living person, however, remains alive, but it sleeps, this eidolon, when the limbs are active. But in dreams, it often shows the sleeper the future. Wow. This is a quote from Pindar, by the way. Gosh, that's incredible. The body follows death, the all-powerful. The likeness of the living person, however, remains alive, but it sleeps, this eidolon, when the limbs are active. But in dreams, it shows the sleeper the future. The duality of self, right? Two forms. Your daimon, your eidolon version of you exists and flourishes while you sleep. It shows you the future. Beautiful. How do you connect to the muse? The most direct way is through the dream, right? Sorry, excuse me, guys. I apologize. Sorry about that. All right. Let us continue. The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Umberto Eco? Cyclopses, each with a single eye the size of a shield. Scylla, with a girl's head and bosom. A she-wolf's belly and a dolphin's tail. The hairy men of India, who live in swamps on the river Epigmarides. The cynocephali, who cannot say a word without barking. The scoipods, who run swiftly there on single leg, and when they want to take shelter from the sun, stretch out and hold up their great foot like an umbrella. Astromats from Greece, who have no mouth, but breathe through their nostrils and live only on air. Bearded women of Armenia. Pygmies, Blemiae, born headless, with mouths in their bellies and eyes on their shoulders. The monster women of the Red Sea, 12 feet tall, with hair to their ankles, a cow's tail at the base of their spine, and camel's hooves. And those whose souls are reversed, so that following them by their footprints, one arrives always at the place whence they came, never where they are going. Men with 3 heads, others with eyes that gleam like lamps, and monsters of the island of Circe, human bodies with heads of the most diverse animals. Wow. They're quoting one of these ancient Greek texts that is claiming to have seen all of these things, right? And these are really perceptions of different groups of tribal peoples, that have been twisted and evolved over time through hearsay into the most imaginative of forms. Wow. Interesting. I'll read the next line just because I find it interesting. These and other wonders were carved on that doorway, but none of them caused uneasiness because they did not signify the evils of this earth or the torments of hell, but rather bore witness that the word had reached all the known world and was expanding to the unknown. Thus the doorway was a joyous promise of concord, of unity achieved in the word of Christ. Splendid ocumen. Just wildness. You have this door carved in all of these pagan forms, and the Christians see it as that coming together of forms to create the singular monotheistic God that will be entered into through the gateway. Wow. Just wild. Interesting. Interesting how people interpret and change and figure things out. All right, let's continue. The Decameron. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from the Decameron? Know then, noble ladies, that there was in Imola a man of evil and corrupt life, Berto della Massa by name, whose pestilent practices came at length to be so well known to the good folk of Imola that 'twas all one whether he lied or spoke the truth, for there was not a soul in Imola that believed a word he said. Wow. Known then by the noble ladies was an evil and a corrupt man, whose pestilence practices came at length to be so well known by the good folk that whether he lied or spoke the truth, it didn't matter. They didn't believe a word he said. Right? Guard your words, and recognize there's power in truth. Your word is the only, all you have is your word in some ways. Okay. Euripides. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Euripides? He saw me and I saw him. For proof, he gave me sacred rites. Wow. He saw me and I saw him. For proof, he gave me sacred rites. He saw the God in a dream and he was given sacred rites. Wow. I'm going to read the next lines because I think they're also kind of relevant. Pentheus, these orgies of yours, what form do they take, this stranger? It is unlawful for profane mortals to know them. You are not allowed to know. You're going to have to trust me on this one. He was initiated by Dionysus, and the proof is in the rites, and you can't see him. And the magic of dreams, right? The dreams are everywhere lately, especially this evening. Pay attention to your dreams. Learn to speak to that muse through that vision, through the perception too, right? The dreams and the perception. Wow. Your sight and your vision. Okay. Edgar Allan Poe. Muses. Guide my hand. What is the message? The table was superbly set out. It was loaded with plate and more than loaded with delicacies. The profusion was absolutely barbaric. There were meats enough to have feasted the Anakim. Never in all my life had I witnessed so lavish, so wasteful an expenditure of the good things of life. Wow. Wastefulness, greed, and abundance at the feast. Okay. We're going to do one final sortes and then we'll go to our tarot. Goethe, Faust. Muses, what is the message from Goethe? Inspire us this evening. Ah, look down, thou rich in sorrow's crown, with the grace of thy dear face upon the woe in which I drown. Wow. Ah, look down, thou rich in sorrow's crown, with the grace of thy dear face upon the woe in which I drown. Oof. Look down, thou rich in sorrow's crown, with the grace of thy dear face upon the woe in which I drowned. The message here is sometimes we need to look down and recognize the people around us, right? See that there are other people who see us and love us, right? And are drowning with us. Wow. Wild. All right, we're now going to begin our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm. And it's a good little blessing. It would mean a lot if you did. And if you are at all interested in a private reading, you can reach out to me on the Myth and Lore Discord. I'm Snappy or Lady Snappy, or email me, snappydts@gmail.com. Okay. We're going to use the tarot, the Thoth Tarot of Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. We're going to invoke, we're getting shot out. We're going to invoke Saturn Kronos and ask them to dissect our life, to cut it up and put it on the plate, and to show us how we can best move and flow, how we can evolve from our present, and how we can manifest our true will. And the center card is the most important, and today's center came shooting me in the head. All right. That beautiful Queen of Wands, that inspiration, that muse, right? That fiery bringer of passion that inspires that energy and beauty and all around her. That consummate performer and artistic creative, right? Deep magical energy. I always connect this with Circe, that incredible, profound queen, that witch who could transform mortals into anything she wished, bind people to her will through her gaze. All right. Connected to her, in the pursuit of her, we have physical change, a change of place, a change of scenery, changing of manifestation. To be able to connect to this muse, we must embrace that change and learn to move and flow and to adapt and to pursue, right? To go after and to connect with her. And this connection with her will be the beginning of a new foundation, a new tower, the building of a shared creation, right? Beautiful energy. This is the creation of a home, the beginning of a business, the coming together for the purposes of building that tower from its beginning, from the start, in unison. Wow, I love that. Right? And we get the three, that power of absolute abundance, and growth and creativity. Amazing. Okay. Hangman. I saw someone was calling this in the chat, and here we go. They have appeared. The hangman, right? The hangman is that energy of having to go through the sacrifice, of having to get up off of that tree and to make active change, right? To do what is necessary to connect and to move. In order to connect to this queen, there must be a transformation. There must be a change of form and a change of place. And there must be a personal sacrifice that is made. Deep, powerful energy. And you must see that in order to connect, that you have to come down, right? In order to embrace that muse, you have to get down from the tree, right? You are hung of your own accord for the purposes of your own reflection. The reflective time is over, and now is the time to reflect enough on what you have learned to make the active decisions, to make the transformations necessary. Let's see where this is going. Yeah. Making these changes and connecting to this queen leads to the birth of new loving connection. In that emotional suit of the cups, the birth of the princess, right? Beautiful, profound energy that will grow and blossom and become that queen or that knight, that empress or that emperor. Profound energy that must be nurtured and cared for. Beautiful, right? And it is a result of taking that responsibility and making that active change of connecting to that queen that we can give birth to this beautiful princess, that we can bring this energy to life and create profound flow and love. Magical. Yeah. It's about seeing things from a new perspective. The key to doing this work of the hangman, of pursuing this child, is to think upon your situation from a new shared perspective, right? To connect with this muse, to connect with her, and to recognize now that this is a difference, right? This is about expanding and working in unison and combining, right? The duality of forms for the creation of that shared tower, right? So this perspective is an expanding perspective, a new way of pursuing life from those two ways of seeing. Now with her in mind and her sharing, and with your own reflective self that has gone through this transformation. Let's continue. There's still interference here. There's still this stuff that's holding us back or getting in the way from us connecting and fully seeing the work that needs to be done in order to connect here, right? This interference energy is an overthinking, right? It's an overthinking to the point where we're now preventing ourselves from moving. We're holding ourselves back. And the question is, why are we interfering and preventing ourselves from connecting? You know, there's a deep resistance in that mental faculty, right? And this is why that change needs to be gone through so that we can see this in a new perspective. Where's this coming from? Because we understand and we recognize that going through this experience of connecting to the muse means a transformation. And there's a painful break here. Wow. You know, this is that Aries energy of the tower falling, of starting anew, of breaking, right? Of breaking with the past and beginning something different. What are we breaking with? Wow. Really intense energy here. We see that there's so much passion and energy and power that has been placed to the point where it is starting to oppress and hold us back. So it has to explode in this tower to come to an end. Wow. Intense energy. You know, we need to figure out what is the cycle that's ending, And how we are rising above it, you know? Why are we interfering with this and allowing this oppression to play out? Let's take a look at our full square to get a better understanding. But before I do, please once again give me a like and a subscribe. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, reach out. You can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord or email me, snappydtts@gmail.com. Okay, here we go. Our full square. Right. We need to overcome this kind of, what I'm seeing here is that there's this self-destructive kind of tendency, this hesitancy and this interference, this resistance of change, you know? And we need to embrace this change and connect to this child, to take responsibility, you know, to overcome this interfering in this oppressive energy. It's going to require us to make the changes necessary to take responsibility and to give birth to this child. Wow. And to care for this child, right? This child needs our support. Wow. The key to overcoming this interference is to go through this hangman, right? And to connect with this muse and recognize that we are preventing ourselves from finishing this prospect, from getting down from the tree, you know? Wow. Yeah, and the key here is about, again, new perspectives and coming to an end of this oppression. We are putting so much power and passion into stuff, but we are not balanced, you know, and we become oppressive. We're holding ourselves back. We're overthinking, overdoing, over obsessing. You know, there's something here that is causing us to be unable to break from these painful patterns that are destructive and that are holding us back, you know. And we really need to embrace this new perspective so that we can build this new foundation and connect to this profound queen. Let's look at our crosses. Yeah, you know what I'm seeing too is that the queen is causing this upset in many ways, you know, but the tower is not always negative. This tower collapsing is also causing the end of this oppression. It's breaking this cycle, right? You see that it is going to be an end, you know, and there is a resistance, there's an interference here because the tower falling is always painful. But this tower needs to fall and there needs to be a reimagining, a transformation, a new perspective, a new approach, a new self, you know? And this is really what it's about. It's about taking the time to come down from the tree and redefine yourself. You've been in these oppressive mode, this destructive mode for so long that it's taking this third party energy to come in and help you get out of this, to see things from a new perspective. Yeah. And how we break this cycle of oppression is we connect with love and we give birth to this Princess of Cups, right? This new emotional child, this project, this beautiful creation within that realm of the emotion, right? Something that's going to be the coming together of these two forms, that is going to solve this oppression, right? It's going to redirect this passion towards a new creative other. Something that needs that inspiration, that needs that light. So really, this is about connecting to this energy and doing what is necessary to really build this foundation and to go back to basics and to start thinking together. Interesting. Embrace change, embrace the new. Let the tower fall, right? Let these towers fall and these cycles play out, right? You're in this dark energy, in this stagnant place. Now's the time to embrace the muse and to break free of those repetitive cycles, to take responsibility for this shared project, you know, and to see things from a new perspective. Part of this is that you're bound in these old methods of thinking, you know, this old, reductive, chaotic pain. It's time for this old patterns to end and to change, to be let go of. You must break free, right? Beautiful. All right. That's the message, everyone. You got to take responsibility, break free from those oppressive, interfering patterns, let that old tower fall and start over. Reimagine yourself in a new way. Reimagine yourself in unity with that muse. And with her, see things from a new perspective. Embrace the change. Create a new tower. Give birth and nurture that new child, right? Beautiful. All right, we're going to do one final message and then we're going to call it an evening. And I think we will, what do we want to do? Let's see here. I'm going to go back to William Butler Yeats. Muses, what is the message from Yeats? Inspire us and give us one final message this evening. "70 years I have lived, no ragged beggar man. 70 years I have lived. 70 years, man and boy, and never have I danced for joy." Oof. Oh, no. 70 years have I lived, no ragged beggar man. 70 years I have lived. 70 years, man and boy, and never have I danced for joy. Now you must ask yourself, what is better in life? To have, to possess, or to dance in joy? He may never have had to beg. He may never have had to suffer, but he didn't get to dance. Oh my gosh. Think on that, my friends. Greed is a terrible thing. Peace and love. Take care, and I hope I see you again tomorrow for another live Tarot and Sortes. Take care.